Great, there we are, back again. Oh, and sorry, I introduced myself as host, but I didn't actually explain. This is Spiritual Judo for a Sustainable Jesus. This is the episode COVID masks. COVID masks didn't stop bubonic plague. I guess that's what I'll go with. But right now talking about China, and in this case, my friend has been emphasizing the discrimination that has been occurring against African nationals. And so I was elevating the significance and contextualizing it in terms of China's larger human rights problems. Including a Human Rights Watch report from 2018 there, which has sad accounts in just what I read briefly about a Nobel laureate who died of cancer around that time. Another thing I dug up here of a report about that implicates, anyway, 83 major brands in some way or shape or form as part of the supply chain in terms of forced labor and an ethnic minority in China. The Uyghurs, I think, is how you pronounce their name. Business action, and then the ongoing. This is another report from earlier in March 20th or so, and it's about the problem of unemployment as part of the supply chain stuff there in China as a result of COVID and so on, and the strange lack of action in this communist capitalist country that China is is very significantly becoming. So stuff like that, and let's see here, just in terms of other news, as part of that kind of conversation with my friend, I've also been getting into the issue. She was making a statement of how lack of diversity in social Europe makes social business, social programs possible. So that's kind of a contorted formulation semantically, and it reflects some kind of psychological projection on her part and assumptions on her part that need to be seriously examined. And so basically just looking at the positive examples to establish the context and diversify the reference frame here and what we're talking about. I've been talking about things like the U.S.'s public supermarket ESOP that is quite has a lot of branches around the Southeast, and has actually been written up in Forbes as taking on Walmart with active policies to lower prices and that kind of thing. So this is an article in Forbes about that. With the social policies to be able to improve the United States, right? Improve the situation in the United States being my thrust, right? The thrust of my arguments. Let's see here. South China Morning Post has some really cool stuff, including updates about a beautiful update. Oh, I don't have it posted here, but they've got the latest current updates from many countries around the world, including Taiwan and Hong Kong. Let's remember, with what is it? Taiwan has some 6 deaths total since December and January, when they were immediately on top of things. They had already sent agents to China, to Wuhan, already in December and so on, and then upped their production of face masks incredibly. So the numbers, right? I really recommend South China Morning Post for their. They have a great chart. You just find an article and then you go down and you can pull up the updated numbers for per day from the World Health Organization. So here's that article I was telling you about. This next one is Clinton inks the China trade deal. So that's that article that I was showing the headline from in Facebook. Let's see here. Okay, there's a little bit of a delay getting this. All right, to understand, it's a process of education. You know, I'm grateful to my father having educated me about, or at least, you know, oriented me anyway, about international affairs. So, one thing, this is spiritual judo for a sustainable Jesus. So, I don't know, I hope that image is okay. I can't quite see it at this point. I'm going to, let's do a little bit of a psychosomatic medicine moment, transforming spiritual and religious practice and taking advantage of its healing nature and potential. So, you know, what are the for the public audience, right? I want for a modern public audience with a lot of secular influences. I refer to different things. First of all, there's a recent study by Gail Ironson, well, more or less recent, that goes back to a 2009 article that I came upon in the last 2 years or so at NPR, a selection from a book that involves an interview between Barbara Bradley Haggerty, the author, and Dr. MD, PhD, Gail Ironson of the University of Miami, trained at Stanford and University of Wisconsin also, and two studies actually, the results of two studies in which view of God, basically. A benevolent view of God, the view of a loving God, is associated in HIV patients, in this study result, with a more vigorous immune response of 4.5 times, involving white blood cell counts, CD4s in this case, and viral load, lower viral load as in this case, in this context. And so two articles from 2006 and 2011 that deal with that finding. So, you know, that's kind of a cool and definitive kind of finding, though, you know, my own interest goes back to my interest in biological anthropology, my undergrad degree in biological anthropology, learning about evolution and neurophysiology and so on. And the idea is simple, the almost instinctive understanding of stress on the one hand being opposed on the other hand by the alternative kind of processes, healing processes, which I didn't really come to understand until, I began to, I guess I was intuitively understanding it in various senses, but then I finally got to get more specifically about it, more explicitly involved with it, I guess when I was working in social services with substance abusers, and a colleague gave me a book by Louise Hay, or rather she gave me a sheet material by Louise Hay, and I bought Louise Hay's book. I went out, found it, You Can Heal Your Life in particular, you know, and she's got Bernie Siegel, MD, endorsing it, and you know, fantastic material. Let me see the time here, a little time check. Okay, I'm going to stop it and we'll be back in a moment.